Praise be Jesus Christ, now and forever. As I've said to you many times before, and will continue to say it, not only to encourage you, but also to preach to myself, important for any preacher, physician, heal thyself, if we have the ears to hear and the eyes to see, a gospel passage we've heard 1,000 times can always reveal something new. This is because it is the Word of God, the living Word of Christ, speaking to us freshly, in exactly the same way as if we were sitting at His feet by the shores of Galilee. Perhaps that might even help us when we're at Mass, to place ourselves at His feet and listen and hear His Word for us that day. This happened to me just the other day, reading the passage from St. Matthew's Gospel, when the Lord is sending His disciples out on mission, telling them to travel lightly, in other words, unencumbered. He tells them to preach the word in the towns and villages they enter, just as the Church preaches the word to contemporary society. The line that struck me in my mind for the first time was His warning about what will happen to those who do not receive or reject this preaching of the word. Shake the dust from your feet, He says. Not only leave, but to mix metaphors, wash your hands of them. And the line that hits home, it would be better for Sodom and Gomorrah on the day of judgment than for those towns. Think about that for a moment. Sodom and Gomorrah, two notorious places of corruption and immorality, were destroyed by God. But rejection of the word of Christ, the preaching of His church, which speaks in His name, will bring greater judgment than what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. That's stunning. I wonder if we believe it. Work out your salvation with fear and trembling, St. Paul tells us. Hearing these words of Jesus does indeed cause some fear. St. Ambrose of Milan, that fearless preacher who was unafraid to challenge civil power, wrote these words: "That true light indeed shines on all, but if anyone has closed his window, he will rob himself of eternal light. Christ too is shut out if you close the door to your mind. Windows, remember, then were made of wood. Once shut, no light emerged or came in. Closing the window of our minds and hearts means the light of Christ cannot penetrate, and it's an action to close both heart and mind. I once spoke with someone who'd converted to the faith. I asked him why it had taken him so long to become a Catholic. With great honesty and humility, he replied, "Because I closed my mind." There's a dangerous unwillingness to proclaim that fearful message. To willingly reject the gospel will bring greater judgment than what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. The business of the Church is the salvation of souls. All else follows, but does not precede that truth. St. Ambrose concludes, "The sun which we see every day is followed by the darkness of light, of darkness of night, but the sun of righteousness never sets. Open your windows to Christ. Brethren, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, like a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour."